guys, Ryan from Huckabuy here. Today we're going to be talking about structured data. And if you're watching this video is actually on Huckabuy.com structured data page. You can just navigate to that up in the knowledge section, up in the very top, and then go to structured data. So first of all, what is structured data? Well, by definition, it's also known as Schema Markup. It's often referred to as the language of search engines. And it's really an authoritative vocabulary that makes it easier for search engines to contextualize and understand, accurately match certain website content to searches and those searches that are relevant in search engines. So what's the difference between structured data and unstructured data? Well, the difference is really simple and intuitive. Structured data is organized data. So whereas unstructured data is unorganized data. So here's a good example of what is unstructured data. So the phrase, John Smith is a software engineer for Salesforce. Okay, well, the reader, whether it's a human or a robot, is required independently to classify all those certain points in that information in that one sentence. Structured data, by contrast, would organize all these properties and types even before reading that, so ahead of time. So for example, John Smith is the name, software engineer is his role, and Salesforce is his company. So that's kind of the difference between structured data and unstructured data. And there's a multitude, and we'll get into what those different types of structured data are. But why is it really important for SEO? So first off, we know that the internet's growing and increasing in size every day. But Google continues to have limited time and resources to pursue their mission of organizing that information in an easy, accessible, and fast, not to mention useful way. Still, even Google and other search engines, they really struggle to serve the most important and most relevant, helpful links really in those search results. So structured data is important for that because it helps a search engine understand your website or even a specific page a lot better just by those little tiny tidbits of information like we had talked about, like software engineer or names, things like that. So not only do you improve the experience of a search bot, but you improve your user experience by implementing structured data because that will show more accurately in search results. So to summarize all of that I just talked about, here's the advantages of structured data. Search engines understand all the parts of your business, your brand, and your content better. Search engines match content more accurately to relevant search results. Search engines include more information on the search results page for your content, like cooking time from a recipe page, location from an event page, or a review from a customer success page. These improvements help Google build a better, more accurate knowledge graph and knowledge panel about your brand. These improvements can lead to more ranking keywords because search engines associate your content with more topics and subtopics. These improvements can actually lead to more organic impressions and organic clicks because search features like the rich results help your content stand out in search and resolve those queries faster. Okay, so how does structured data improve on-SERP SEO? On-SERP SEO is the organic channel strategy of converting as much real estate as possible on the first search results pages for any of your target keywords in order to attract the attention and the clicks of your target audience. So this is done by qualifying for applicable search features like Google Ads. Now, Google Ads are not necessarily structured data, but featured snippets, image packs, FAQs, any of those in addition to ranking as high, in addition to actually ranking those as high as possible. So structured data improves that on that front page of that on SERP SEO by qualifying content for over 30 of those different rich results, also referred to as rich snippets. To see the impact on Google search, if you go to Google Search Console, under Performance, Search Appearance, you can actually see a breakdown of the types of rich results that your website or a certain specific page is actually showing for. So like how-tos or FAQs. It will show the organic impressions, it will show the clicks, and it'll show the click-through rate, all those different metrics in Search Console, and it's highlighted around those rich results. So is structured data a ranking factor? No, it's not a ranking factor yet, but it's highly, highly recommended by Google developers and indirectly helps your website to improve rankings. So when we say indirectly helps your websites, okay, so if Google analyzes your website and sees structured data for certain products, and there's a price, there's availability, whether it's in stock, if it's the right size of a piece of clothing or something like that, well, those little bits of information Google is going to show on the front page of Google. And when someone clicks on that, that's going to actually result in click-through rate, which is a ranking factor. That's going to result in time on site if all that information's already there on your website and the person's there and shopping, and possibly result in conversions. All of those three, yeah, those are ranking factors. So that's how you indirectly affect those ranking factors with structured data. So regardless of ranking, whether that's the question or not, if your goal is to increase visibility on those search results, that directly influence rankings. It's a critical asset to have on your website. So we've been talking about structured data. Well, what is Schema.org? Okay, so Schema.org is a community founded by the 4 major search engines. Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Yandex got together and said, okay, well, we want to build a better semantic web by developing vocabularies for structured data markup across the internet. Doesn't matter if you're Google. People think Google's the internet. It's not. It's just the most popular search engine. So commonly used vocabulary in the form of Schema.org, types, properties. They make it easy for marketers and website developers to actually participate in this initiative. In fact, that's where most of this schema items and stuff in the code comes from is simple developers, engineers like you and I that are actually doing this. So how do you actually implement this structured data? So if you go to schema.org, you'll see thousands of different types of markup. But in order for it to be recognized by search engines, specifically Google, and just a side note, Google actually does own international, worldwide, 87% of search results. And that's been consistent for years. The structured data markup must describe that page content and include information that's going to be visible in search results or even on that web page to the user. So there's a number of ways actually you can implement structured data. And the recommended format is something called JSONLD or JSON-LD. So it's spelled JSON-LD. So JSON-LD is actually not meant to be seen by humans, kind of like HTML. We're looking at this web page right here. We don't see the actual HTML code or the CSS or whatever is rolling behind it, kind of like the matrix. You see all the little squiggly lines and everything. But it's designed for search engines. So JSON is the next format, and LD stands for the linked data that actually allows you to express data in a way that's more precise to those individual search engines or entities. Think of it as a book. It's written in a way that you can map objects over pages. There's no parsing, guesswork, or filtering that needs to be done by search engines. Everything's very explicit. What you say means only what you say. It's the cleanest way to communicate, and that's why Google prefers it and recommends it to SEOs like you and I. There are other methods, including microdata, microformats, RDFA, but those are alternatives, and they're mixed up in with content shown to users. That can get really, really complicated, especially when you're working towards goals of expressing data to search engines and really providing a top-notch user experience, especially for the upcoming algorithm in 2021. So for the alternatives like microformats, it's like adding subtitles, creating transcriptions to somebody, something that, like a transcription that somebody wrote, and it's kind of being hidden in the HTML of the website for Google to kind of pull out and decipher that. Good example of that actually is those transcriptions that YouTube does on videos like this, but hides it within the video. So, all right, so JSON-LD, that's what we've been talking about, versus microdata. Which of these should you use? Well, I mean, you kind of want to go by what Google actually suggests, and they support both JSON-LD and microdata. But from our perspective and Google's, JSON-LD is kind of the clear winner. It's elegant, it's lightweight, it's structured. It's really, really the easiest way to do that structured data markup. JSONLD is a JavaScript notation that annotates that web content and can be templated across multiple pages. So it really makes it easy to add, edit, and remove. It doesn't get mixed in with user visible text. There's no need to alter existing HTML tags. You just simply add it and add the script to your page or the body of your website. So microdata, once again, it's a way to label various HTML elements on a page. That way the machine can read those specific tags. Now, because microdata is embedded within the HTML source code of a web page, it takes a lot more time to implement, and it's way more difficult to edit and remove. Okay, so we have some tools within Huckabuy and resources, so feel free to access those. We've got a list of them here, and I'll just read them off since this video is going to be on the web page. So if you do want to dive deeper into structured data, we've got our favorite learning resources, tips, SEO tools. That way you can test your structured data and learn more about the basics of the implementation process. There's the Google Structured Data Testing tool, which is actually going to be archived, and you'll get the Rich Results tool. The Structured Data Markup Helper, Rich Results Testing tool, which I referred to in the first one. Google Code Lab Structured Data Tutorial, Google Guide, Understand How Structured Data Works, Schema.org, you can always go there, and then obviously Huckabuy Structured Data. Okay, so we have a structured data glossary here as well. HTML, we know what that is. That HTML controls how a web page is structured, headings, paragraphs, etc., and what it says. JavaScript, that's a programming language used to create an interactive or dynamic action on a website. We've gone over JSONLD, but just in case, JavaScript, it's a JavaScript object notation for linked data. Google refers or Google preferred format for structured data. Knowledge graph. In the context of SEO, a knowledge graph pulls information from a variety of sources, such as the CIA World Factbook and Wikipedia. It presents them in knowledge panels located on the upper right-hand corner of search results pages. Microdata, a way of annotating HTML elements with machine-readable tags. Microdata is another type of format for structured data. Open Graph integrates website content with social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, by tagging them and that content in such that it can be presented, shared in a native format alongside other objects on those platforms. RDFA, Resource Description Framework. RDFA, Resource Description Framework and Attributes. That's just another format for structured data. Rich cards, a separate search results or a separate result in search results, often with visual enhancements. Those usually appear at the top of a rich result. Rich cards, a separate result, often with visual. Rich cards, a separate result, often with visual enhancements that appear at the top of a search results page. Oh, rich snippets. Rich snippets. Any type of organic search resulting with enhanced information displayed alongside the typical blue links, the URL, the title, and description. Sometimes you can interchange that with rich results. Schema Markup. It's just another way of saying structured data. Schema.org, an extensive labeling system created by the major search engines in 2011 that standardizes how web content is marked up. This shared vocabulary makes websites easier for search engines to understand. Search bots. Search engine crawlers, also known as spiders, that go through the internet to find content. Each search engine has its own name for its bots, like Googlebot, Bingbot, etc. SERP. Search engine results pages. Structured data. Endorsed by Google, structured data is the language of search engines. It explicitly tells them what is on a web page so they can properly understand and contextualize content. So we've got a couple of other structured data articles that are at the bottom of this page, and I really give you suggestion to go look at those. What are rich snippets? A guide to SERP features, structured data examples. We have a whole knowledge base on our website as well. So if you go to knowledge and any of these right here, will give you a good link to some supporting articles on rich results. So that is everything that's really at the high importance about structured data. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to Huckabuy, please let us know. You can always contact us through the Contact Us link in huckabuy.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.